at India-China relations, so there are certain thorns in India-China relations which need to be worked on. So even Chinese ambassador recently recommended certain measures, initiatives which can be taken in this direction. So we need to critically evaluate and discuss how India-China relations can be taken forward. So we'll have a discussion on this. So this is something which cannot be restricted to a particular day. So this will be put into current affairs issues section so that you can look at all these issues over a period of time, because these are concerns which have been there for months and which will remain for months unless resolved, for years also some of them. So thorns in India-China relations have been listed down. So you can see first one is regarding India's NSG bid. So nuclear suppliers group is one of the groupings in which we want to become member, but China is also member in this NSG, and it is not allowing a vote in favor of India, and any new member can be added to NSG only after all the members accept a membership. So this is one hindrance. So why does India want to be member of NSG, and why is China opposing it? So NSG is nuclear suppliers group. So all countries who are member here, they are only allowed to export material which can be used for manufacturing nuclear weapons. So they can be used for peaceful purposes also, and for manufacturing nuclear weapons as well. So all such items can be traded only if they are members of nuclear suppliers group. And China claims that since India has not signed the nuclear non-proliferation treaty, so it should not become a member of NSG, though there is no such requirement, formal law as such which mandates this. So India has not signed the nuclear non-proliferation treaty too, because it calls it discriminatory, because non-proliferation is only for those countries which do not have nuclear power. So those who are declared nuclear powers are allowed to continue with possessing their nuclear power, but new countries cannot acquire this nuclear technology. And India has already acquired nuclear technology. The nuclear tests which we conducted, Pokhran 1 and Pokhran 2, has already given us the nuclear capabilities. We have nuclear weapons. So though we have not been recognized as nuclear weapon states, to some extent a de facto nuclear weapon status was attained by us when India and USA signed the nuclear deal during UPA 1, Manmohan Singh prime ministership. So that aspect is there. So we have not signed the NPT as such, but still the nuclear deal was signed, and USA is keen that India should become a member of NSG, because only then USA can also start trade with India, because according to its constitutional provisions, legal provisions, it cannot have trade with India until then. So these are the concerns. So India will also have the freedom to trade with various countries and acquire technology. So India is also keen to become a member of NSG. And China blocks it, saying that since a non-NPT member can become a member of NSG, then if India is becoming, it wants Pakistan should also become a member of NSG. So that is what China is pushing towards. And as I said, NSG membership can take place only if all members agree. So China, apart from it, there are other countries too who are not agreeing. So that is one major hindrance, clearly. Second thorn in India-China relations is regarding Maulana Masood Azhar. So Maulana Masood Azhar is a terrorist. He is in Pakistan. He is accused in Pathankot airbase attack. He is accused in parliament attacks in 2001, and he is there based in Pakistan, and India wants to declare him as a terrorist. And the initiative which India has taken at United Nations, in UN Security Council, so that sanctions can be imposed against him, China is blocking that initiative. So it's putting a technical hold on this. So this is also a major concern. So again, once the technical hold ended, China again put a hold on it. So this is also a huge thorn in India-China relations. So that is there. So of course, it is considered that because it is supporting Pakistan, China supporting Pakistan is the reason why it's taking up this step. So that again has to be resolved. Third thing is China's initiatives which it is taking to assist Pakistan. So military equipments being provided to Pakistan, especially in Pakistan occupied Kashmir, which India claims to be its own territory, is a huge concern for India. Then another one is also engineering asset, means creating assets, infrastructure in Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So even China-Pakistan economic corridor, which passes from China up to Gwadar port in Pakistan, so which opens up in the Arabian Sea. So this whole China-Pakistan economic corridor is an initiative which has been taken, but a part of it passes through POK, Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So India is opposing this project on this, that how can it pass through a region which India claims to be part of its sovereign territory. So the sovereignty of nations have to be respected. The way China raises concerns when Taiwan, which it claims to be its own territory, though in all practical cases it is independent, but then it does not allow any country to give it independent recognition. Even in United Nations, it's China who has the membership of the Security Council too. So, and Taiwan is not recognized as a separate member as such. Even when the US president received a call from Taiwan leader, that was not liked by China. China raised its voice that Taiwan is not an independent country. How can such diplomatic relations be initiated? So when China raises such concerns on sovereignty, then it should respect India's sovereignty as well. So these concerns are also raised with respect to China-Pakistan economic corridor. So this is another concern. Next one is with respect to border. So with respect to border within Pakistan, if you look at it in Jammu and Kashmir, we have a line of control with Pakistan, but there is another line, this line, which is called line of actual control. So this is LOC and this is LAC. So this part, Aksai Chin region, is actually with China. So this was acquired by China after the 1962 war, India-China war. So this LAC, to make it conflict free, this is also on agenda. Plus also it claims certain regions in Arunachal Pradesh, the northeastern state. So here also resolving boundary issue is a major thorn in India-China relations, and we have been having closed door discussions on resolving boundary issues for years now. And still final results have not come forth, but there are many areas in which resolution has taken place, boundary has been finalized. Now we should also understand why do we have a boundary dispute with China. So India got independence from Britain, the colonial power. So when India got independence, the boundary of India on both the eastern and western side, below is the coastal waters. So these eastern and western boundaries were finalized by a commission which was set up. So there were two commissions. On the western side, it was Radcliffe Commission which was set up. That is why India-Pakistan boundary is known as Radcliffe Line. And on the eastern side, it was the McMahon Commission set up, and this is called the McMahon Line. So India-China boundary is also determined by the McMahon Line. Now the problem is that Britain was a colonial power in India, not in China. So China does not accept this line. It says it was unilaterally determined by Britain. So how can we were not involved in that process? So how can we accept this as the boundary? So that is China's stand, and it also claims Arunachal Pradesh to be part of its own territory. The monasteries been there too. So these are the points raised by China. So India, China are trying to resolve these boundary disputes through negotiations, discussions. So that is what is going on. So this LAC, Aksai Chin region, it had acquired this region, and this region, you should know, is not having any resources, is almost uninhabited. But then the thing is that this is important for China because it connects it to Tibet region. The remaining provinces can directly be connected to the Tibet region, the Xinjiang province. So all that is what it wants for this region for. So when China had a war in 1962, it retreated from other regions, but this area was acquired by it. So this is boundary dispute is another concern. Then after that, last point which is listed is the Tibet policy. So India's Tibet policy, you should know that in 1959, the Tibet leader, Dalai Lama, he came to India. He is presently in India in Himachal Pradesh, Dharamshala, where Tibetans and Dalai Lama are settled as refugees. So we have given asylum to them. So Tibet, they claim that Tibet is an autonomous region. Earlier it was also claimed that they want independence, but now they want to be autonomous within China. But China wants to have its full force on Tibet and is not ready to accept their demands. And Dalai Lama himself was not ready to go ahead in China and have a visit or have some negotiations because they do not have faith in Chinese administration. So there is a difference here, and Dalai Lama is in India. So he has been given refuge in India. So that again is a concern. Though we uphold Tibet policy, we say Tibet is a region within China. We don't talk of autonomy and independence, but then this is again a thorn as such. So when Dalai Lama visited Arunachal Pradesh recently too, China raised concern that how can you allow him to visit. At one point of time, even China was not giving visas to people from India who were in Arunachal Pradesh, because visas are provided to people who are not from your country. So when you consider that region to be part of your country, then how can visas be provided? So they were giving stapled visas. Means visas were not stamped on the passports, because that passport is also not recognized. Means passport, you are recognizing that that person from Arunachal Pradesh is an Indian citizen. So that's why they were stapling visas on passports. So such steps were also taken by China. So this is also a concern between India and China. Then now the initiatives which have been suggested recently by Chinese ambassador. So first of all, a talk on friendship and cooperation treaty, which should be possible. Then second is a free trade agreement between the two countries to boost bilateral relations. Third is India joining hands with China on the OBOR initiative, One Belt, One Road initiative. We'll see what is that too. And lastly, to reap early harvest outcomes on the unresolved boundary questions. So early harvest means it will take time. Negotiations will take time, but whatever has been finalized, at least those outcomes can be finalized and put in the forefront. So that is the 4 suggestions which were given. So what is OBOR? We'll just have a look, and each one of them will be discussed in detail. So One Belt, One Road initiative is Chinese initiative to establish the land route and the maritime route. So this is called Maritime Silk Road Initiative and Silk Road Economic Belt Initiative. So the Silk Road was the ancient road through which silk from China was transported and traded all across the world. So reinvigorating that same aspect, China has established these initiatives under OBOR. The 2 routes will be established, so that will be giving connectivity throughout, from China to various regions. So even through ports and through land routes. So China, we should know, it has huge amount of foreign exchange which it wants to invest, and the best investment which is possible is investment in infrastructure, which is a huge demand too. And China, if it invests in infrastructure development which will facilitate its trade through the trade routes, then it will be beneficial economically for it further. So that is the whole economy behind this concept, and that is why it is establishing infrastructure, and all countries welcome it, because infrastructure is anyway welcome by all. So India is also expected to join in this OBOR initiative, but then India has its own concerns with respect to China, and especially when these are initiatives, infrastructure initiatives taking place which pass through Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So those concerns are there, but India is being invited by China to join OBOR. So that is there. So now looking at the friendship treaty as such, this is regarding China-Pakistan economic corridor. So this is the route from Kashgar. This is the POK region from where it passes through. It reaches up to Gwadar port here in Pakistan. So this was the original route, then this was the modified route because this region is terrorist inflicted. So that's why the route was changed. Now another point raised is that China is having overtures to India. It is approaching India now because China-US relations are in thorns. So there are concerns here because the newly elected President of USA, Mr. Donald Trump, has spoken on various aspects where he speaks that, talking about even the phone call to Taiwanese president, which we just discussed. So that was one tiff which occurred between US and China. Second was regarding, he has spoken that he would put in punitive tariffs, means very high tariffs would be imposed on Chinese goods, because these days if you see, even in USA, goods which you buy, they are made in China. So Chinese products have proliferated throughout the world and are available cheaply throughout. So that is why to put huge tariffs on Chinese goods is another intention which he had clearly put forth during the campaigning and sticks to it. Third is about regarding the Chinese aggression in South China Sea. So many artificial islands have been developed by China in South China Sea, and it is asserting its independence and claim there. So that is also not to US liking. So here also this is a thorn in the relations between the two. So that is why it seems that China and India coming closer is what China wants now in this scenario. So now with respect to India, first and foremost, boundary dispute resolution. For that, the concern which we see, the areas in which boundary can easily be resolved are in the northeastern region of Sikkim, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh. The disputes are majorly in Jammu and Kashmir region and Arunachal Pradesh region. Remaining areas, by far, the disputes are not there and can easily be resolved. So solutions can come forth, but it will be time consuming. So of course, India would not want a half-hearted solution that few boundary areas have been finalized, but others have not. So we would insist on a comprehensive settlement of the boundary dispute. So we'll have to wait how long would it take finally to come forth on this matter. Then with respect to Treaty of Friendship and Cooperation, which is, which an initiative is being taken now. So we already have had such agreements. The foremost which can be spoken of is the Panchsheel Agreement of 1954 between India and China. So these were 5 principles of peaceful coexistence. So if you look at them, this is what it intended to, that there should be mutual respect for each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty. So this was also referring to Tibet region. Mutual non-aggression, mutual non-interference in each other's internal affairs, equality and mutual benefit, peaceful coexistence. So these were the Panchsheel, which were agreement finalized between India and China. So again, in 1993, 1996 too, we had agreements on peace and confidence building. So that also reiterated these Panchsheel principles. So these are part of the relationship between India and China. So presently, a treaty of friendship and cooperation would just be a treaty on good intentions. There will not be any fruitful development out of it, but of course, it will be a step in the right direction. So this, anyway, we have had, and we can have one more to reiterate our friendship. But China is more keen on this aspect presently. Then second is talking of free trade agreement between India and China. So with respect to this, we should know that again, we have a huge trade deficit with China. If you look at it, India's trade deficit in goods. So in goods sector, China dominates. In services, India dominates. So if a free trade agreement talks of both goods and services, then it would be welcomed by India. Otherwise, it would be adversely affecting Indian economy. So here you can see the trade in goods. This represents the total trade. The bars here, these are imports and the exports. So imports from China have been increasing significantly and exports not to that extent. So you can see the deficit. Balance is in negative. So there is a huge trade deficit which is increasing over the years. So this is a major concern for India in India-China trade relations. So that is there. Then, so FTA should be a balanced one, which will try to rectify this trade deficit as well and bring in investment. Cross-border investment is also considered part of it. Research and development initiatives are included in it. So they may help in resolving disputes. So then next is One Belt, One Road initiative. So this is the initiative which has been taken by China, which we just saw the map. So this is being funded by AIIB, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, in which India is a major member too. So then again, in indirect way, we are already supporting OBER. So why not support it wholeheartedly and have some benefits for India as well? As we discussed, the concern which we have is with respect to China-Pakistan economic corridor, which passes through POK. So that is a concern. So this disregard for sovereignty issue is being raised with China. So once this aspect is resolved, we can wholeheartedly be part of OBER and take benefit of the infrastructure development through Asia. So you can see here that AIIB, it was proposed by China in 2013. The founding members signed an MOU to establish AIIB in 2014. 2015, UK became the first nation from G7. So China, Russia from G8 had been excluded. So G7 member UK became the first to join the bank. Russia has also joined AIIB. So 50 founding members signed the Article of Association, and in 2015, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank came into existence. So here you can see the largest shareholders, the 3 largest are China having the maximum stake 30.34%, India 8.52%, and Russia 6.66% stake respectively. So this is about AIIB. There is another bank, BRICS Bank, a new development bank. So that is also on a similar lines. We'll discuss what are the similarities and differences between the two in the end. So next, another issue which is there is connectivity as such, which will be provided through this OBER. So connectivity between Tibet in China and India would be provided. So that will be beneficial for India as well. So Nathula Pass, which is there presently near Sikkim. So this is the one which connects India and India and China. So this another initiative, OBOR initiative, will help in better connectivity between India and Tibet in China too. So that was beneficial. Plus also because we have trade relations with Tibet too, Tibet Autonomous Region as it is known. Then connectivity between Xinjiang province in China and India will also come forth. So Xinjiang province is the region in China where Uyghur Muslims reside, and this is a region where terrorist attacks also have been reported. So China wants to bring in development in this region and eliminate terrorism from here. So here again initiatives are required. So China is trying both carrot and stick policy in this region. So what it is planning, even the China-Pakistan economic corridor, it's passing through this region only. So China, even bringing in trade through the OBOR initiative through this Xinjiang province will also help in development of this region and bringing down terrorism. So these initiatives are also taken. The way ahead, as it is discussed, so of course NSG approach, India has to work on that, being more open to India. China has to work on it. Maulana Masood Azhar, the technical hold which it has put in UN Security Council committee as such, this has to be removed. Activities in POK have to be ended because you cannot have regions which are sovereignly claimed by India being used for various projects, be it infrastructure projects with another country, Pakistan. So these have to be resolved. Once these are resolved, then we have our legitimate interests with China, which can easily be worked on together. So these can then be further worked on, including OBOR. So then wholehearted approach can be provided, means both people to people contact, confidence building measures, tension reduction measures can be taken, and both countries can come together and connect at all levels. So that is the way ahead. The new development bank which I spoke of, which is BRICS Bank. So this is also a bank to fund sustainable development in infrastructure projects in developing countries. So though the intent and objective is somewhat similar, but of course they are different. So this new development bank is seen as an alternative to World Bank and IMF. So in World Bank and IMF, developing countries have been excluded from the managing aspect. So here we see World Bank leader is always from US head and IMF head is always from Europe. So this is a norm. So developing countries do not have a say. That's why new development bank has been proposed by BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. So this new development bank initial capital is $50 billion, which will be doubled to $100 billion in the coming years too. China will contribute $41 billion here, and Brazil, India, Russia will bring in $18 billion each. So again, China is a major contributor here too. South Africa will provide $5 billion initially. Then each participant country will get one vote. So then nobody will have a veto power. So irrespective of the stake, each participant has one vote, and a reserve currency pool will be established of these $100 billion, and then funds would be raised by issuing bonds to members in the markets of these member countries. Now looking at the differences too between these two banks, so New Development Bank and Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, the initial subscribed capital you can see. So this is between 5 member countries only that the capital is raised. Here there is much larger membership. So here members, even founding members for AIB were around 50. Then agenda is for infrastructure projects. It will majorly concentrate in these 5 BRICS nations, but it will be open to all emerging economies. And AIB is anyway for a wider infrastructure development across Asia. Then this NDB was first proposed by India for infrastructure funding, but AIB has been an initiative of China. So that is also there. And this is regarding the Nathula Pass between India and China, connecting the two in Sikkim. So these are the coverages of India-China relations and the issues presently. So that is it for now. Thank you.